Hey there, my name's Danny Leibrandt, and welcome back to Local Marketing Secrets. Today, I'm joined by Bodhi Gallo, an entrepreneur who went from running a dumpster rental business in college to becoming one of the biggest voices on Twitter for local SEO and home service marketing. Bodhi's story is pure hustle. He bought a small local business, scaled it to over $750,000 a year, and then sold it before going all in on helping other service companies grow through digital marketing. Now, as the co-founder and chief revenue officer at Stryker Digital, Bodhi works with over 600 home service clients across the country, helping them dominate their markets through local SEO, Google Business Profile Optimization, and ad strategies that actually drive leads. He's proof that the best marketers are the ones who've lived it, who've owned the trucks, taken the calls, and figured out what it takes to win locally. In this episode, we dive into how he built and sold his first business, the marketing strategies that actually move the needle for service companies today, and how operators can position themselves for long-term growth and scalability. Now, without further ado, Bodhi, welcome to the show. Of course, man. So and this is like a really interesting niche. I feel like I'm in a pretty interesting niche, pest control, but you got started in the dumpster rental space. So talk to me about that, of like how, I know you bought that company and then scaled it.
Just got into SEO from like the good old days where you could do like affiliate blogs. That's how I originally got into SEO when I was like 17. I was infatuated with like personal finance, credit cards, investing in the stock market, all that fun stuff. Wrote a blog post on best credit cards for college students and made about $2,000 to $3,000 in affiliate like credit card signups within, I ranked for SEO without even knowing what SEO was at the time. Made like $2,000 to $3,000 and was like, wow, I can really do something with this. So studied marketing in college, had 2 internships. One internship was at a national agency. The second one was at Benjamin Moore & Co., the paint company. And that's really where I learned local marketing. And then had an opportunity to buy a dumpster rental business right at the end of college, pretty much my senior year. Bought a dumpster rental business. And the reason why I bought it was because I didn't want to be an employee, especially in the marketing space. Not a lot of employees really make much money at the high agency level. So had an opportunity to buy a dumpster rental business, 1 dumpster, 20 trucks, no Google Business Profile, no website, no Facebook. Just had a list of customers pretty much. Took a total gamble, but as a lot of people say, when you're a young person, take gambles like that, because if you do screw up 3 to 5 years later, it's no problem. Like, you can always recover. Pretty much bought that business and just threw my marketing system into it and started to grow it pretty rapidly.
Yeah. So you were a young guy in college. I mean, I think you said you were a senior when you bought it. So were you already like digital marketing savvy, or did you just kind of figure it out on the go?
Savvy, as in I had 2 internships. One of them was at Benjamin Moore, which is a pretty large paint company.
Oh, okay.
Where I did local marketing for about 50 other stores. So I pretty much knew I knew the playbook.
Oh, okay.
I also had this personal finance blog that like I was just writing blogs and ranking blog posts, and knew that like if I got into a local service business, I could rip with it. Pretty much is what I would tell people. Especially because the market I was in, old Italian guys, 3rd generation business owners who they've been making money for so many years. They don't know anything about digital marketing, and I knew I could really blow it up.
Yeah. So you grew from about 100K to 750K and then sold it. How do you go from 100 to 750?
Ads and local SEO, which is interesting, is at the time you were able to stand up like 3 Google Business Profiles with a postcard. The good old days. So at the time we had a Google Business Profile at our yard or shop. We had one at my residential address and then my business partner's residential address. So we had 3 Google profiles with all keyword stuff names, and we started getting reviews to all those profiles. So when people would search up dumpster rental near me, we showed up 3 times. And no one else did in our market. On top of that, we were spending more on ads than everyone else was spending on ads. At the time, like Performance Max campaigns just came out. So you're able to spend a little bit of money on ads and get a huge return on them. So pretty much anytime someone wanted a dumpster, you couldn't get away from us on the internet.
Wow, that's awesome. And were local service ads around back then, or is that a category for dumpster?
Not a category for dumpster, only for junk removal. So dumpster rental ads still rip more than local service ads to this day.
Okay. And what was the split between client acquisition between SEO and ads? Was it mostly SEO?
Isn't like it is now. Everything was tracked on a balance sheet, on a spreadsheet.
Okay. Yeah.
It depends, honestly. A lot from local SEO, a lot from ads. It got to the point where we didn't have to run ads anymore. The trouble with the dumpster business, high CapEx. So if you have 50 dumpsters and all 50 are sold out and you have to drop off 5 the next day, it's a logistical nightmare. You're scrambling to find the dumpsters, where dumpsters are. Can I pick it up? You're calling clients, calling customers. I need to pick up a dumpster. So during the summertime, it was all local SEO. Wintertime, it was Google Ads. As you're from Chicago, you know it's cold. Not much construction goes on. The key behind running ads in the wintertime is no one else is. So the CPA is way lower. But summertime, predominantly local SEO.
Interesting. That's a good little nugget. So anytime that's the off season, people are typically going to be running less ads, and that's when you should be running them.
Get the most. I got my biggest jobs in the wintertime for running ads.
Wow. Okay. And then you sold that business. What made you sell it?
Where I was on podcasts and I was meeting people from Twitter like yourself, and I would be getting a phone call and it'd be like someone looking for a $400 dumpster, $500 dumpster, and they'd be blowing up my phone. Or like I was just making way more connections online. The whole online world was not new to me, but being known on there was new to me. So it was pretty much just like pick one thing or the other. I couldn't do both. Like every like successful business owner says, pick one thing and do really good at it. Owning the dumpster business was great, but my TAM was only so big.
Yeah, dude, I want to dive into the money Twitter stuff, or I guess what's left of it. Like I was mentioning before the show, I come from the money Twitter background. So I was, a young guy just trying to find my start. I knew some other people making money online there. And before I even made my first dollar, I had friends on there that were doing like 10, 20K a month. And I was like, dude, what? I like making money online. It sounds like how is that even possible? And it didn't feel real until I did it. But what I was also telling you is that, dude, I've seen you blow up on Twitter. You have more followers than me now. You have like 18K, and I'd argue you're probably the most well-known person in local SEO, or one of the top, at least in terms of posting and engagement. So talk to me about how you started on Twitter and kind of how that ended up being like you one of the most famous people for local SEO there.
Everyone else did, Anon, like it had nothing to do with my name, nothing at all. Then I was on a podcast. This guy, Paul Schiffbauer, money Twitter guy. We went out to Pennsylvania. He's in the middle of York, Pennsylvania, which, as being a New Yorker, it's the middle of nowhere. Had us in the podcast. He was like, dude, you got to create the dumpster rental guy on Twitter. Because at the time, Anon accounts were huge. Dumpster rental guy, self-storage guy, all these different guy accounts. And left that podcast, started creating content around marketing my dumpster business, running ads for my dumpster business, doing SEO for my dumpster business. Then people started coming to me, and like inbound leads just went crazy, like people were like relating to my story. They're dealing with the same bottlenecks, and they're also not doing a lot of good local SEO, Google ads. Made the account I Rent Dumpsters, the dumpster rental guy. I was Anon at the time, and the business just kind of blew up at that point. And what was interesting is that time on Twitter, like local SEO content, you could put the most simplest stuff. Like now I have to put way more effort into it, but you can put the most simplest stuff as in like, post on your profile 3 times a week and it would go insane. You get like 10K views. Now you got to be way more complicated and diverse on there. But pretty much just sharing local marketing tips, kind of like Alex Hormozy, give value, get value type of thing.
Yeah, no, dude, I think you've tapped into something that almost no one else has. Like I mentioned, I started to shift away from Twitter because I was like, dude, it's all like young guys that are broke trying to make money. I want to attract like those high level home service owners. And I think this is even a value add for other people that might run an agency. You've connected with a lot of home service owners there, right?
Clients through Twitter. Are now like home service owners that I met through Twitter, like clients or friends of mine. This past week, I was at the Main Street Summit, which is like a big SMB private equity of like in the middle of Missouri. And it was just crazy walking around there. And like, I talk to these people on Twitter all the time, or they see me on Twitter and they come up to you and recognize your face. It's like you've spoken to them a million times, but it's your first time meeting in person. And that's been really cool to see with Twitter, honestly.
And tell me like some of the things that you're posting, because dude, I've grown on a lot of different platforms. I'd argue Twitter is probably the hardest. So how did you crack that?
Easiest? Because I haven't grown on many other
Really?
platforms. But the thing about Twitter is like,
okay,
you have to speak to the algorithm. For example, I live in Boca Raton, Florida, South Florida. I'll do a mixture of lifestyle content, marketing content, and business content. So when I talk about business content or lifestyle content, I'll be like, I'm eating at this steakhouse in Boca Raton. And then I'll talk about doing marketing for a roofing company in Boca Raton. And then business owners who live in Boca Raton will show up right in front of them. So I've landed about like 15 clients from living down here, speaking about local authority, living here, being here, like meeting them for lunch, dinner, handshake deals, like cool stuff like that. On a national level, though, it's like you got to reach out to your target audience. You know, it's just like Facebook, Andromeda, like how they come with like the Andromeda update on Facebook ads, where it's like you have to speak to your content. Yesterday, I made a post about HVAC owners. Like if you're an HVAC company and you're going into plumbing, you should create 2 separate profiles, one for AC, one for plumbing. And then my DMs are filled with AC and plumbing guys, you know? So just speaking to the algorithm and your target audience, you'll get in front of your target audience.
So kind of having like the keywords in your post. So if you want to target the HVAC guys, obviously you should put HVAC, and not just because they see on their feed HVAC, but because the algorithm will specifically push it to people more because it has whatever their interest might be.
And it goes right in front of them. And I'll do something like Steak Fridays. And like every single Friday, me and my wife go to a steakhouse and I'll post like Steak Fridays, and people will come up to me and be like at that Main Street Summit, they're like, I hope you're handing out steaks this week or something like that. Like you just get known for things that are outside of your niche, you know? So it's all about being yourself and also posting about what you do, and then becoming friends with people, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm so impressed by your agency growth. I think the last time I saw on someone else's podcast, yeah, you mentioned that you had 150, or they did, and you just told me you have over 600 clients now, or around that range. So, like, talk to me about how you're acquiring clients for your agency. Is that a good amount of Twitter or Facebook ads?
Of it is Twitter. What's amazing about Twitter is like I've built a great following on there where Twitter, like my own clients will sell for me on Twitter, you know? Like I don't even have to sell for myself at this point because we get a lot of people on Twitter results. That's 50%. 25% is Facebook ads. This year, actually, what's pretty cool stat. Like we spent 300 grand on Facebook ads to make about $1 million in top line revenue, with about 150K in recurring revenue on the back end of that. So we got our ClickFunnels plaque coming, which is pretty cool. But Facebook ads 25%, and then the other 25% is just word of mouth referrals. Like I get at least 3 to 5 inbound leads each week for someone I work with from either Facebook or Twitter or a friend of mine or whatever, and that's the other 25%.
Dang. And I think part of Twitter is that you have a co-founder, and he's posting a lot too.
But he's more of a back-end guy. Like he's the CEO of the company, as in like if I was an info product agency, he'd be my operator is what everyone calls it. But he's more on the back end, as in he set up the structure, Slack channels, our CRM and whatnot. But he's now going into like a full-time marketer at this point. Like we have an ops guy in place.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So you're more front facing.
I'm more front facing
on the podcast here instead of him.
Organically. We're like he's actually front facing on the paid ad side of things.
Yeah. Well, so you started the agency just like a few years ago. What were you doing to get your first few clients, and how did that start to ramp up?
I was even on Twitter. We were in Facebook groups, believe it or not, just grinding Facebook groups like any other agency. We probably did our first 10K MRR, just grinding Facebook groups. I remember I would work the garbage company from like 7 in the morning to 6 at night. I would leave my phone upstairs. I was still living at my parents' house, and I would just grind Facebook groups. I would cold DM people, hey, do you have a website? Why don't you have a website? Are you currently doing SEO? Are you currently doing ads? And it just kind of blew up from there. So we started with the Facebook groups, just grinding them, and then started posting on Twitter and kind of got away from the Facebook groups because Facebook guys are a little crazy.
Yeah. What has scaling been like? Because obviously there's different levels of scale, maybe from your first 5 clients to then 10 to 100 and then 600. Like, do you have a large staff now, or how are you managing all that fulfillment, and what are the levels been like?
At this point, we hire a lot from Canada, believe it or not, for customer facing. It has a lot of great marketers and SEOs. And if you pay them an American salary, they're more than happy. So my front facing people are all Canadians, my account executives. Most of them are Canadians. My back end people, a lot of them come from Australia, Eastern Europe, as in Moldova, Lithuania, places like that. And then Ukraine's another place. And then we have some guys from Canada, Pakistan, Bangladesh, pretty much all over the place. Nigeria, we have a lot of guys from Nigeria, some great WordPress experts from Nigeria. A lot of my back-end people are over there. But it's been pretty crazy to scale, because like from 0 to 10K, me and my business partner, Andy, were doing everything. Then from like 10 to 50K, we added Jerry, who's going to become a business partner of our company in the future. He's going to get equity in the future. He's a really big part of our success too. And then we picked him up at like 18 years old, which is pretty cool. He was still a senior in high school. And
Wow.
yeah, he learns coding at like 12 years old. He's an absolute whiz. He can automate and code anything. So we picked him up from a Discord channel, and then now we're just hiring like crazy. I don't use any hiring agencies. We used to use a hiring agency, but now we're at the point where like we had to learn it ourselves. So we hire a lot of people through this LinkedIn.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So 42 staff members, seems like you guys are continuing to grow super fast. Now, I want to get into like the actual strategies of it. I always see you posting like, map scans or whatever, heat maps showing that you guys have gotten some crazy results, or you said that a lot of people are referring you guys. So I think because there's so many different things to cover here, let's start with Google Business Profile stuff. What are like some of the biggest movers on Google Business Profile? What do people need to be doing there?
A physical location. We don't really take on a client unless they have a physical location at this point. The only people with service area profiles who do rank usually have an exact match name, something like BocaRatonPlumbing.com. Boca Raton Plumbing. That's really the only way these days to rank with a service area profile, or having like 500 to 1,000 reviews. Otherwise, it's very difficult. That's definitely the most important part. Second most important part is actually putting your service in the name. So for example, like let's talk about HVAC companies. I've dealt with HVAC companies with like, they're called like Bodhi's Mechanical Services. And I've dealt with AC companies that are like Bodhi's AC Repair. And the guy named Bodhi's AC Repair is always outranked the mechanical. I'm not completely keyword stuffing the name. Obviously, that's not a good idea. But you should put your primary service in the name. And the third thing is just filling out your Google Business Profile, as in filling out all your products, all your services, your Q&A. Posting on it doesn't really do much. There's really no like data behind this where people are like, you need to post in your profile 3 days a week. What I really like to do is like post on the profile 3 times just to increase CTR, click-through rate. And then another important part is your primary category, like I'll use HVAC again, is you shouldn't have HVAC contractor on your profile. It should say AC repair. The only people calling it HVAC contractors are HVAC companies, where your customers, your consumer is searching AC repair near me, AC repair Boca Raton. Primary categories, really important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I tell everyone too. Those top 3, I've heard that from all the top local SEO experts, and I've also seen that with my own clients. So that's like undisputed, those top 3. And also one thing with the name, which I kind of have mixed opinions about this, and I've asked some other people. You mentioned service in the name, which I think is kind of a no-brainer. And, I'm mostly working with people in pest control. Like, it's kind of obvious you have pest control in the name, of like Danny's Pest Control or the best, I don't know, whatever pest control. But what about having the city in the name? Do you think that's worth it? Does that move the needle?
But what I tell people is put that for your second profile, not your first one. Keep your first one as white hat as possible. I call it white hat here. Keep your first one as white hat as possible. But if you want to get a second profile, that's when you can go in a little gray black area. I wouldn't do it as your main profile, because Google does come in every couple months and clap those profiles.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, let's talk more about that. I think I've seen you say, I don't know, this might have been like 6 months ago or so, that if you don't have several profiles, you are like massively missing out. You need to build out several profiles, maybe in several different cities. Talk to me about like why that is and how you go about that.
The way about it is key man risk. For example, there's a moving company I work with. We have 4 profiles for him, all with physical locations. Big company, though. They're doing like 7 million a year. Pretty good for a moving company, but one of his profiles went down, and it's like, all right, we'll get it back up. It's all good, because you have 3 other profiles to get leads from. Where Google Business, like Google keeps your service business owner hostage pretty much. Like everyone's searching on Google. And if one profile goes down, you could be screwed if your business is all on organic leads. Like you can be your business can get cut in half in a month, especially if it's something like house cleaning where people are always searching it, or pest control. So it's just like the He-Man risk game. You kind of mitigate risk the more profiles you have. Usually I like to do 4 max. But usually when people have one profile, we get a top 3. I'm like, hey, and they have like 150 reviews. I'm like, hey, it does make sense to get you a second profile because the maps are all on radius. You can only get so far. So let's place it in this area and go from there. Where business owners screw up all the time is like, it's only, you can pretty much get a profile for $500 a month. So it's a $6,000 a year investment that could gain you $500,000 a year. A lot of short-term thinking in the SMB space where like, we have to consult people sometimes too when it comes to that because they're afraid to spend money.
Yeah. No, I've seen that too. And talk more about that. Yeah. So like here, I'll just explain real quick or give a preface here. So you're saying is that companies should ideally have several Google business profiles, and you just mentioned like $500 a month per. So you're saying get like a designated office, or what's the strategy there?
Designated office and go from there. A little trick is like people always talk about co-working spaces don't work, blah, blah, blah. I verified probably 100 co-working spaces in the last 2 months. It's all about putting a unit on it.
Wow.
So the 122 Bodhi Street, Unit B, Unit C, Unit D, something like that is the best way to do it.
And I know some people say you need signage or some other things. What are the things you actually need?
So this is gonna get interesting here. I have a Google rep on my team. I have about 2 Google reps on my team. They work for Google Business. What's interesting about Google Business is they're all volunteers. None of them get paid. That's why Google Business support is terrible. They're all volunteers. So all we really need.
You're talking product experts?
And all we need is a sign.
Okay.
And we can get people verified pretty much. All we really need is a sign. The sign gets denied right away. Then we appeal it and we can get verified there. It is like a 2 to 4 week process, pain in the ass, but all we really need is a sign, and we're good. A lot of other people say you need an LLC, you need a bunch of stuff, business documents and whatnot, but pretty much what we do is like just have you get a sign and you're pretty good from there.
Okay. And does that need to be a permanent space that you basically own, or can it just be something you rent out part-time? And you've seen that can just be like $500 a month.
$500 a month, give or take. Something that's interesting that I tell a lot of people is these co-working spaces, since everyone is going back into the office, they're not as used as much as they used to be. You can literally tell them what you're doing and they will assist you as much as possible because they need revenue.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So that's a really good strategy, especially for service businesses, because obviously people who are brick and mortar, they already have a location. But for service businesses, would you say, well, you kind of already said it, but just to put a cap on this, you need to have a location to rank?
Depends on the market. Obviously depends on the market. You know, if you're in the middle of Missouri, it's a way different game. But if you're in Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Miami, you need a physical or you're just not going to win. You're not going to be able to compete.
Got it. Cool. And then we covered like the 3 main factors, and we dove into business name a lot, and also the location. What about the other secondary things, which you kind of touched on, but like, are there any other things that move the needle, like services or photos or anything?
Profile or like on the website?
Yeah.
So on the profile,
on the profile, ranking that.
Filling out your services with a description on all of them. I'm pretty sure it's like 300 characters, give or take. Filling out all those services. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get really granular, like I'll just keep using South Florida as an example. You'll have like all your services, and then like you'll have roof repair. Then you'll have like West Palm Beach roof repair. You can actually fill out the services, Boca Raton roof repair, roof replacement, stuff like that. So you can get granular on there. When it comes to the products, we just like to do all of the products, link them back to the website with a nice description. Just filling out the profile, you can only get so far, but like when it comes to on-page SEO, it's like having all your service area pages on there is super important. And a quick win we like to do for all those service areas is like, we like to embed the map on the bottom of each service area page. Obviously citations are super important, especially with the generative AI these days. And then backlinks, it's a pretty good list of guest posts we do, PR posts, but we also like to do local backlinks. What's pretty cool is like when we work with a ton of businesses in one market, we're just exchanging backlinks back and forth with each other, which is very helpful on the local level.
Okay, cool. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, and I think there's some debate on this, is how much does the website impact Google Business
I
Profile
think a
ranking?
ton.
Is there
People
some
could
impact
say
there?
yes, people could say no. I think a ton, like your H1 tag is most important. So another cool tip is like we like to change up the H1 tags every once in a while. So like it'll be like number one top rated roofing company in Austin, Texas. And then we'll change it up every month and be like the best roofing company in Austin, Texas. Just changing your H1 tags every couple months is very helpful. I think service area like is super important, like roof repair Austin, roof repair McKinney, roof repair, like that is very important for your website.
Okay, cool. And also, this is somewhat debated. Do you think on the Google Business Profile, do you need to link to the website page that is kind of corresponding? So if you have like you know, your Google Business Profile is like all about doing pest control in Chicago. It's based in Chicago. Then you link to your pest control Chicago page, or should you just link to your homepage?
It's a good question. I have a tweet going about that this week. You should link. I like linking to your
Okay.
like pest control page over your homepage. For example, I have a roofing company who's in Florida. He has 4 locations in Florida, 4 Google profiles in Florida. They're not close together though; they're far. So he has a page. It's like number one top rated roofing company in Tampa, let's say. That will be the service page to his Google profile. Number one top roofing company in Boca Raton will be the service page to his profile. Miami, Jacksonville, stuff like that. I think it's very important because his name website's like number one top rated H1 tags, number one top rated roofing company in Florida, and then we build out from there.
Yeah. For the titles and the H1s across those, what you could call like money pages, where do you differ? Because I'm already seeing you mention it. Where do you differ between just optimizing for straight SEO versus conversions? Because straight SEO, like I was mentioning, that my example, it could just be pest control Chicago IL, and that would probably be the main keyword. But you're saying like number one top rated or best. So do you think it's like a mix of both?
And I also think like on the left side, we have number one top rated roofing company in Chicago. On the right side, we have a form submission right there. In that form submission, we'll actually geolocate you, as in we'll connect the form submission to Google. So when people are typing in their address, it pretty much shows up right away. And then on the top, we like to keep a sticky number with, let's say, the roofing license, and then the phone number right there with a quick call to action. So if you scroll the page, that follows you the whole entire time, and then like get free estimate, get free estimate, get free estimate.
To be clear on that, you're saying you have a sticky header. Okay. Okay, cool. So that header stays on the page. People see the call now button the whole time. And then you have the contact form there. What's like the typical contact form that you see work best? Because I see some people have like 100 different slots, and some people just do like 2 or 3.
Okay. For roofing, for example,
Okay.
name, address, phone number is really great. Email, you could argue there. Some people don't even look at their emails. I think name, address, phone number is very important. And then maybe type of service, a little check off. But name, address, phone number is very important to me, in my opinion, the top 3. But it depends who my customer is and what they want, Because like, let's say pressure washers, for example. They do pressure washing, roof washing, Christmas light installation, patio wash. They do a million different things, soft washing, roof washing, and they want check marks on it. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of getting their information and calling them immediately.
Got it. And for these location pages, let's say, because like a lot of companies, at least that I look at, I don't know, maybe 25 to 50% do have these location and service pages already set up for maybe each of their top cities along with their top service. But almost none of the time, pretty much none of the time, they're actually ranking those pages and getting traffic to them. So how do you flip that switch and actually get traffic and leads from those pages?
Authority for those pages than getting leads. As in, like, if you're communicating to Google that, like, you have the master page and then all the money pages below it, it's like you're communicating to Google that you have topical authority within that area. And I think it boosts your homepage more than it boosts those location pages. We do have some location pages ranking, but in my opinion, I'm not too worried about that, in my opinion. It's all about the homepage to me.
Yeah, no, it's much tougher, and especially because local service ads are showing up all over the place. Google Business Profile is super dominant. So there's not too much traffic to collect on those pages anyways. And also, from what I've seen, I think you have to be fairly authoritative. You have to have a good amount of traffic and a good amount of backlinks in order to rank on those terms, because some of them are really competitive.
Ranking those terms for your website, I think about using those pages to help boost your Google business profile more than anything. Yeah.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. I haven't heard anyone put it that way. So when is the right time to set up a second and third Google business profile? Because usually what I say is like you kind of have to wait until you have enough reviews to diversify. But when's the right point for you?
I think it makes sense when you're top 3 for your biggest money keyword, like HVAC repair or AC repair, Austin, Texas. I think some markets though, like Dallas, I'll use Dallas for example, because I was just there. Dallas Fort Worth is freaking huge. It's one of the hardest markets to compete in, where we have a guy there with 6 Google profiles, and you can only rank in a certain vicinity for all those profiles. No one will ever rank number 1 in that market, especially for near me searches. So depends the market, but usually I like to tell people, like, we get you top 3, you have about 150 plus reviews. Now it makes sense to take us to another level, get a second profile.
Yeah, got it. And like I mentioned, I see you posting map scans a lot. Talk me through your like map scan process. What software are you using? And also, how far can you expect to rank out, and how many different keywords are you testing that on?
Dominator. Elder's a great friend of mine. I've been using Local Dominator. I'm pretty sure I made it famous on Twitter, which is funny. And like, he's been a great friend of mine for years. My affiliate with him now is just credits. I don't even ask for money. He's having like hundreds of thousands of credits.
Nice.
When it comes to ranking, as in like scans we choose to post on Twitter, I used to post the actual scans, and I had SEO attacked from Twitter. As you probably know, SEOs are like very salty, some of them. And I actually have to blur out the scans, but the scans we usually do pick are scans that we find on Google Ads, as in like, we use Google Keyword Planner, we see the top keywords in the market. That's what we decide to target when we're doing an SEO campaign. That's what we decide to use for Local Dominator, as in like the scans one.
Cool. And how far can people expect to rank out, or what should be the goal?
Keywords like near me, 25 square miles sometimes. Always market dependent. Don't get me wrong. Always market dependent. Yeah.
So 5 miles out each way.
It's totally market dependent. But you want to really like rank for keywords like roofing company Miami, roof replacement Miami over roofing company near me. But you can roofing company Miami, I mean, you can get like 125 square miles, give or take, from that. So it depends what you're trying to rank for. But if it's something like roofing company Miami, 125 square miles, roofing company near me, 25 to 30, depending on the market.
Okay, cool. And what other tools are you using, if any?
It's because I learned on SEMrush like 8 years ago. I'd never get rid of it. Like, everyone use Ahrefs or whatever. Just grew up on SEMrush. That's how I came up in SEO with SEMrush. A lot of Zapier. Well, that's his internal use. Monday.com for internal use. OpenPhone, I have a lot of my clients use. Big fan of OpenPhone. We're partnered with them. It's now called Quo. Go High Level, stuff like that. We also built a tool called Review Rover. And what Review Rover is like a scan. It's not a scan. It's pretty much a clone of Bird Eye or Nice Job. So we built Review Rover for all of our internal clients. We actually built it with the Google API key. We did not build it with Go High Level. Just for automating reviews, because what's really important, review velocity, it's huge right now. If you're not getting reviews 3 to 5 times a week and your competitors are, they will probably outrank you.
Yeah, definitely. Explain OpenPhone, because I actually don't think I've heard of that.
Quo. I actually have a really big Twitter, Reddit following.
Okay.
And it just sets up unique numbers, and speed to lead type of things. So, unique numbers and speed to lead, it's similar to what we used to use, CallRail, but a little different. So we're able to hear.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know a lot of people that use CallRail.
Clients, how they speak to customers and whatnot. We're like, for example, I'm sure you deal with this a lot. A lot of these guys are terrible at sales. Pest control, maybe not actually. Pest control guys are really good salesmen. But I was working with a dentist office, for example, out in California. Really good dentist, terrible at sales, Really great dentist, they're terrible at sales. And they're like, we're getting all these leads, but we can't close them. What are we doing wrong? Blah, blah, blah. So we went right into OpenPhone and heard how they were speaking to customers. And like, they were trying to force dental people to call in for like a root canal to hop on a video call right now and talk about it. And I'm like, you can't do that, So it's really great for just quality control on our end. It's like, we're getting you all these leads. This is what you're doing wrong. We have to come in as consultants sometimes.
Cool. A question that just popped up in my head is, and I get this a lot from clients. I'm curious kind of what you tell clients and other people is, how long does it take for SEO to work? So like you guys take on many different clients. I mean, do you have to wait for the website to rank, or can you get the Google Business Profile going immediately? What do you tell people?
Quickly. Like, give me a market, for example. I'll tell you the answer.
Let's say, I don't know. Let's say Boca Raton, like you're at.
You need at least 50 reviews in this market. Let's say we're talking dumpster rental. You need at least 50 reviews. You need a physical location. I can probably get you ranked in about 2 to 3 months, give or take your top 3. When it comes to your website, way longer. Websites obviously take 6 to 12 months, market dependent. But your Google Business Profile, usually tell people about like 90 days.
Okay, cool. And also, you mentioned backlinks a little bit earlier, but do backlinks influence Google Business Profile ranking?
No. We like to get a lot of PR for Google Business Profile ranking. Just, it all increases its topical authority. I like to do backlinks though when we're in local states. Like down in South Florida, a lot of our guys rank really high because I have about 15 clients here. We all exchange links with each other. In the footer of the local links are very helpful. And I always tell people, like, if you have friends in the market, we will build backlinks to the websites.
Yeah, explain that strategy more and how you guys go about that. Like, let's say, I mean, someone listening to this does have some friends in their market that they can, quote unquote, exchange links. How do you go about that ethically?
It's knowing that maybe not. Usually what I tell them is like, I say like, reach out to your friends. If they're currently investing with an SEO, it's like, okay, you will get in contact with the SEO company, exchange links with them, or just hide the backlink in the footer of the page is pretty much what we like to do. Hit all the footers of the pages, and you'll get a ton of backlinks from their website, depending on how many pages they have.
And you just have that hidden, like, so people can't see it?
Plain text.
Dang, and that's on every page. Have you ever gotten hit for that or gotten in trouble?
I've practiced it in a lot of different like other markets. We have PBNs in my original market where I did my dumpster business, and that never got penalized either. So hit or miss though, like everyone comes to me thinking SEO is completely white hat. It is, but it isn't. You're manipulating Google's algorithm. You have to constantly be evolving. Hasn't been hit yet though. I've had other websites get hit, but those are usually personal projects.
Yeah. Expand more on that of like, people think SEO should be clearly or strictly white hat, but it kind of more depends, like, and you are manipulating.
Injury space, like it's all black hat, dude. Like people are doing CTR manipulation. People are setting up all private like blog networks all over the markets, blah, blah, blah. One of the hardest spaces to compete in. Guy who like really introduced me to local SEO agency stuff, this guy, James Slattery, he passed away like 6 or 8 months ago. He's actually from my hometown. All he did was personal injury lawyers. It's all black hat. It's all black hat. And
wow. And it was all working. He didn't get in trouble.
So you just have to be smart with it. It's something like CTR manipulation, where most people get messed up with CTR manipulation, is like they're doing 500 clicks a week, where you have to do it small. You have to do 5 to 10 clicks a week if you're going to delve into that realm.
Yeah. I'd say one of the things that people get hit for the most, and kind of what you've mentioned, setting up different profiles, is either triggering a re-verification or suspension. Is there any way to avoid either of those?
It's tough. I mean, it depends. Sometimes they just come around and suspend people for no reason. Like I had someone change the hours in their profile yesterday.
Yeah.
And get suspended. Something that's interesting, we've collected a lot of data points behind it, because we have Google API key from Review Rover, so we're able to collect a ton of data across our clients. We built a pretty cool Replit app for this. Our profiles that we make changes for with 100+ reviews that have been around for at least 2.5 years, you can change the address, you can change anything on that profile, it won't get suspended. The profiles with less than 100 reviews and over like a year, tongue twister, under a year old, those profiles, if you do make changes, you're way more prone to being suspended. So anytime we actually do verify a profile, we usually tell people, don't touch it for 7 days. And then we get involved and start making optimizations and changes and reviews. New profile, 7-day grace period, but don't make any major changes like hours, location for about a year at least.
Yeah, no, that is really good advice. And as we start to wrap up here, I've got like one kind of
Yep.
key question, kind of what to piggyback off what you were just saying there is, with all the clients that you guys have, what are like some key takeaways or biggest things that you've learned from working with all these people? Is there any other data points or cool things you've learned?
Clients communicate with you and tell you when they're going to make a change or have a question. My lowest performing clients will make changes without telling us. They'll watch some YouTube podcast like this or anything like that, make a change,
Yeah.
suspend the profile. Pretty much like for me, guys doing $3 million plus a year in top line revenue, they're doing that for a reason. Guys that are doing like $1 million or less and they've been in the business for 5+ years, they blame everyone else for their issues. And that's what I usually see is like, I can tell the difference between a 3 million plus operator and someone who's under 1 million. The 1 to 3 range is pretty great to deal with too, but a lot of guys are their own worst enemies, like a lot of guys on their 15th SEO agency. And when people come onto calls now and tell either me or my sales reps that, we're very weary about sending them a proposal, So it's just like, gotta be careful who you work with, who you deal with, because a lot of these small businesses are crazy.
Got it. Yeah, no, dude, I've witnessed that too. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't hit $1 million after 5 years, right? I mean, home services is just gold mine.
$1 million is great in top line, but it's not amazing, Like there's way bigger businesses out there. And if you're constantly blaming everyone else for your issues, it's time to look yourself in the mirror type of thing. It's pretty harsh. But
Dang.
when you deal with so many SMBs, you just realize like, wow, I know why you're stuck in that position. Like one of my sales reps just took a call with a guy. I literally had a call with him November 4th of last year. He just took a call with us today and he's still in the same position he was a year ago. And he's like, I won't work with you guys until I get results. And I won't pay you guys until I get results. And I'm like, it makes sense why you're still in the same position you were a year ago. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Dang, man. No, that's just the cold truth, man. I think a lot of people need to hear that. And yeah, as we wrap up here, I've got like one final question for you, which is, what is your message to either local SEOs or home service owners? Like, what do you think people need to know? What do you want to tell them?
The most important part of any business. The reason why we grew so quickly, the reason why my old business grew so quickly was customer service. As in, especially today with AI, customer service has never been easier. But you have to be willing to, at least to grow a business from 0 to 1 million, eat shit, as Gary Vee always says, and respond to your customers as quickly as possible. And just be transparent with everyone. Any business, doesn't matter what it is.
Amen, bro. Well, dude, I think this has been a great show. I've learned a lot from you, and dude, I have a ton of respect for you. I can't believe how fast you've grown this agency, and also the large following that you've grown on Twitter. So, dude, I think what you're doing is so cool, and I can't wait to see where you take it. And for people that are watching that might want to connect with you, where can they find you on social media or elsewhere?
Dumpsters. You can find us on YouTube at Stryker Digital, and then I'm starting to build the Instagram and TikTok pages, but I'm not there yet. My name will be Bodhi Gallo on there, first and last name.
Cool. Awesome. So definitely make sure to follow Bodhi on Twitter and also their YouTube page and some of those newer accounts. All those links will be in the description. And anything else you'd like to plug or promote, Bodhi?
Been watching your podcast for a couple months now. It's pretty cool to be on here, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been great to have you, and we'll stay in touch. Yeah, of course, man.